Pros and cons, pros and cons. About what happens when you're wrong.
Johnny,
Hopefully we don't crash.
what's up, everybody? I saw Johnny McWong in the chat, and I think I saw Matt.
So Johnny McWong?
Johnny McSwong? Big Dom. Alright, found it. Yeah, it is Matt. And Skip is in the chat. Johnny McWong. Ooh. That's what he says when he meets the ladies. He's like, you can call me Johnny McWong.
Oh yeah, I forgot I went on my little walk.
You got your holsters
I got my
on.
little holsters on. See, I got this, right? I can hold my phone. Right there. Hold my knives right here. I got this Ganzo knife right here. Just in case it's a backup knife. Okay. Then I got my Benchmade knife right here. It's a secondary backup for the other hand, just in case anything happens. Right here. And then, of course, as the primary defense weapon, got the Mora blade right here. Perfect for stabbing. Defensive. Okay? Yeah. It's real nice. You can wear a jacket. Nobody even knows it's there. Like, oh yeah. People might even think that I am working for the FBI.
Alright, so Epstein's ghost just no drops on the information. Apparently there was also a riot on the 110 freeway. You know,
Today?
Yeah. That's like, that's one of the topics we're gonna get into. Was this Minnesota mess.
Yeah, it's pretty insane how there's
Thank you, Hot Computer.
murders. There's murders all around the world in the United States every day. Like the day about that George Floyd thing, there was 10 deaths in Chicago and 40 injuries, all in one day, in the same day. And things like that happen elsewhere, and nobody cares about it. Nobody says anything. But then this type of thing happens with the officer, and I'll say that officer was a piece of shit. He was wrong. But what I don't understand is why people like to piggyback everything on one and make it seem like it's this one big huge issue.
Because the media tells them you need to be angry about this. Like this is the root of the issue, in my opinion. I think the cop was excessive after a certain point. However, he was doing his job up to a certain point,
but he was wrong.
Yeah.
You could tell that was a piece of crap cop.
Yeah, but the way I look at it is that this wouldn't have happened if Floyd was doing things right. So. I think people get away from that, and they want you just to focus on the cop being excessive, which there's plenty of examples of that, but it's not because of race. It's his ego.
Yeah, people automatically say, oh, racism, and there's no evidence of racism. Why? Because he's black and the cop's white? No, it's assholism. He has anger.
He has ego.
He has an ego. He has hatred. He's not a very good person.
Like, is Floyd a racist for trying to get over on a store? What if the store owner was white, where he wrote the fake check? Is he racist trying to steal from them?
Right.
If Floyd wasn't doing wrong, he wouldn't have been in the cop's possession. So you have to look at both sides of it, and everyone wants you to focus on just the cop and call him a racist murderer.
But the ironic thing that people don't think about, or maybe they do, I'm sure there are some people that do, is that all this is happening, this wasn't this bad before, but it's all happening right now, especially, and if you notice,
right now
there's an investigation on Obama right now. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Obama's black, of course, and so the left and these people that want to divide, set it up like this, so that way when Obama's in trouble, they're going to be like, all this happening to black people, and now you're going to do this to Obama. It's like, it's insane. And the media, the mainstream media, doesn't report on the actual, not to say that George Floyd thing isn't a big deal, because it is a big deal, but those types of things are happening to all races all over the place, and it paints the picture that all cops are bad, and all cops aren't bad. There's just some bad eggs out there for sure, just like all white people aren't bad, all black people aren't bad, but there are some bad individuals, and you can't group them all into one group. But they just want you to hate cops, they want you to hate white people, hate America. They want us all divided.
I mean, if they if they gave fair coverage to all the attacks that blacks did on whites and Hispanics did on whites, there would be 10 stories for every one story of a black victim. You'd have 10 white victims. Imagine what the world would, how the nation would feel if 10 times a day you're hearing stories of black men attacking white people. Like it would change things. But the media doesn't want you to know that because the media is run by communists.
And white people don't riot and speak up, and they're like pulling back on it. Like if they were, because I mean, I noticed that the people of color are the ones that are always upset about race issues and things like that, and white people, like, I never cared about what anybody said about white jokes or anything like that, because there's, like I said, there's bad eggs on each side, right? Like, I noticed that black people make fun of themselves. They call Uncle Toms coons, which are like derogatory racial slurs that were supposedly created by white people or whoever it was. That's just what I've heard, right? And so they're taking what white people would say and calling themselves each other that. They drop N-bombs at each other every day. And, like, I grew up in Orange County, and I'm really white, right? He white, like transparent white. And there was always, like, tan surfer white people there. And they'd make fun of me because I was white. And at one point it bothered me. So I'm sure that when other black people say, oh, you're dark-skinned, or oh, you're light-skinned, and make, derogatory ways to hurt other people, because, I mean, at some point it's like, you gotta just laugh at it. But it can't be such a double standard where if because you're this color and you joke and say something, then you're racist. And if you're not, then it's okay, It's like, there's no line, all in the name of equality, If you want equality, then we should all be able to treat each other equally. And, like even the Joe Biden thing, when he said, you ain't black. Like, I don't think he's a racist for that. I think he was joking, and he was hoping that he would get on their good side and be like, see, like, I got, like...
Yeah, he's funny.
I'm funny.
He can rap with
jokes.
the blacks.
I can hang out with the blacks. And then, but the thing is that the left is always crying racism all the time. And saying that Trump is racist, and every little thing he says is racist. So when Biden does say that, then the right's going to be like, oh, wait, what? You said all this was racist? And that's, like, obviously a racial... So then, it's like people on the right act like they care. Like, they're like, oh, my God. They don't care. Just, it's like people, they act like they care so that they can paint their narrative, and it's like a one-up, a score. It's like, oh, your side did this, and it's just like, it's getting really old.
So Skip...
Skip?
Skip says, I'm the last to ever take up for the blacks, but they were right this time. And he says, it was sad watching Jesse's show today. Jesse had him all jacked up and saying it was wrong. I happen to agree with Jesse 100%, because in saying what Jesse is saying, and what he's always driving home, is that the root of the problem, this whole incident began when George Floyd did wrong. That's what happens when you do wrong, is it can cascade into other things, and you pull in other evil things. You bring in other people with egos and anger into your life, and that could end your life. So if we're going to sit here and harp on the cop, you're missing the root of the problem. Fix the problem, which is live your life upright, and you won't be in those situations. You won't be subject to people's anger and ego.
People are so caught up on, like, this person's right, that person's wrong, and they can't see that, both people are wrong. And at the end of the day, like you said, like, you bring on certain things into your life. If you live a life as a criminal, there's things that are gonna happen to you.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that you deserved it.
And exactly. I'm not saying that the cop was right at all, because he was wrong. He kept his knee on his neck for a long time.
Well, too long. But
yeah, it's a horrible
George
thing.
put himself there, and to ignore that is to do a disservice to all the youth, not just the black youth, but any youth living wrong. It gives them an excuse that if they do wrong, they still expect to be treated like a princess and just like hands off. Like, no, it's most of the time you got to be rough with them because they have an attitude. They're fighting back. They're resisting.
People are painting the picture as though it's like, oh, this innocent person got murdered.
Like they said, young man. The dude was like 50 or something. He looked like an old dude.
Right, but he wasn't innocent. He was committing a crime. It was like forgery.
Right, that's outright lying again. And all those things matter because it makes you emotional and blind to the truth.
And bringing out saying he committed a crime, it was forgery, people are going to be like, how dare you? That doesn't justify that he's dead. And I'm not saying it does, so it's like, got to clarify that, because people don't have common sense these days to just really look at things objectively and be like, wow, the cop was wrong, and how could I avoid being in that situation? A lot of people are saying, like, I'm afraid of cops, and I'm afraid that's going to happen to me. that can't happen to you unless you're committing crimes. You know?
I mean, I get where you're coming from, Skip, but it's the emotional stuff. We watched like
What's
David
Skip
Harris
talking
Jr.
about?
He just feels like Jesse had become what he hates, and he hates black people.
I don't think he hates.
If you listen to what Jesse says when he was driving home, and what he's trying to make people always look at is the root issue, and to ignore the root is to not help them. So what if we can acknowledge that the cop crossed the line of excessiveness and should have just checked for a pulse, should have said, all right, he's not resisting, let's readjust his position. That's not the issue. The issue is, why was he there in the first place? Why was he committing crime? And if you don't solve that, Skip, you don't solve any of it. You don't fix that kid's life. You don't help him in any way. You don't help those people.
Yeah,
you have to get them
there's
off
multiple problems stacked on each other. You got the
that
problem
stem from the initial one.
the problem of the crime being committed that will put you in a position to where that could happen, and then the problem of a cop who doesn't uphold his oath to America and working for the people, because I get that too. Like, cops are supposed to be working for us. They get paid with our tax dollars. They are public servants, and they are our equals until we commit a crime. So because he committed a crime, we're no longer equals. He's the authority, but he should have detained him, handcuffed him, and then that's that. There's 4 officers and 1 guy that's handcuffed face down on the ground with a knee on. Like, it's way too much.
Right. There's a lot of, like Camille says, that you can live upright and innocent people still die every day. That's not bad things happen to all people. Like, expecting that nothing's gonna happen, that's the problem, is that we're dealing with it. It's a spiritual battle here. It has nothing to do with race.
And you raise your odds. It's about odds.
Right.
You know?
You're creating a cascade of events that will happen because you choose to live wrong. When you live upright, you have a very high chance of surviving this life and being just fine. It doesn't mean you're not going to have your house burned down or some evil person's going to try and mess with you. That's not what God promises you. What He promises is it won't be by your own doing. It won't be because you set it off. You didn't start that chain of events. That's what matters. And to use the excuse that, like, well, since some innocent people die every day, well then, what's the point of being upright? That does not help these kids. My friends who are doing time right now, one doing life, one who did 15, 16 years, it wouldn't help them. They should have been told a long time ago, you're the cause of your own problems. Stop doing crime. You won't have to go to prison.
But what caused you, Skip, to believe that Jesse hates blacks? Like, I don't understand that. Like, I watch Jesse every morning. Sometimes I miss it, but I go back and rewatch. I don't ever get the vibe that he hates blacks. I think Jesse has tough love and speaks the truth. He doesn't always deliver it in a sweet, packaged up, delivered way. He says it just like how he sees it. And the thing about Jesse is he never has anger. The spirit about him is he's able to just say what he means and hold his ground on what he thinks. And Jesse's 71 years old too.
He's seen a lot more than any of us.
And he doesn't want to make any excuses for people that break the law and that are criminals. And that's what it is about for Jesse. It's like, even if the cop was wrong, and I predicted, I told him, I was like, watch, Jesse's not gonna be on the side,
because he can't.
Because I watched it, and I knew right away. I was like, damn, that cop was definitely wrong. But saying the cop is wrong doesn't saying that George is right.
Exactly.
And that's not what Jesse's saying,
Yeah, it's about the root issue. Jesse's not concerned with what the results are of your wrongdoing, because that's not the problem. What got you into the mess, what always gets you into a mess in life, is you giving into your anger and your ego. And his whole journey and Jesse's whole fight is to get people to see that, because if you can do that, then you change the world. If all these kids got rid of their anger and stopped blaming everybody else and held themselves accountable, you'd have blacks being as successful as they were before civil rights. When Jesse talks about what he witnessed, they had the highest entrepreneurship. They were on track to outpace all other demographics. Even though they were smaller population size, they had tight nuclear families. They were some of the most upright Christians in the country. They were amazing. And then here came civil rights and all these race hustlers that made them blame everybody and got them angry about race and skin color. Say, oh, it's never your fault. It's the white man. It's always the white man. And that's not the way it is.
Yeah.
It keeps them.
And if you want to call and talk about it, anybody, just don't come being all pissed off and have anger. It's like, just talk about what you see, your perspective, and we're open to hearing it. It's 818-308-5559.
Lin Chen, super chat thing. He says, I wouldn't have died. My brain is redundant and can auto reboot even after sleep mode is forcefully initiated via interruption to blood flow. Be Robo.
Thank you, Lin Chin.
Thank you, Lin
I see
Chin.
that you have upgraded your robot specs.
Just Happy from Australia had a really good comment. She said the probability of bad things doesn't reduce to zero by being good, but it's close enough to zero that it's worth investing in being good at all times.
Right. And being prepared and understanding, like look, I got this little thing on. We just went for a walk. I looked up the laws before I went out because I got to make sure that sometimes these laws are like, they don't make sense. You read it and you're still confused. I've read the knife laws many times and I'm still on the fence of what the real laws are. But I know I'm not going to hurt anybody, but I want to be prepared for anybody else. So I think being prepared and being a stand-up good person as well as much as you can. We got a call.
Here we go.
That's the key, man.
Yeah, let's talk it out.
Wearing a seatbelt is being prepared, You don't plan on crashing.
Call from.
Maybe that's Skip. Is this Skip from Augusta, Georgia?
It is. How you doing?
Good evening,
Well,
sir.
skippity-doo!
How you doing?
Hey, look at here. I'm not trying to defend the guy that died. You're right. It starts with what happened first. If he wouldn't have put himself in that position,
Right.
that wouldn't have happened to him. He would have been at the house watching TV, drinking a beer, and none of this would ever happen. But he did do it, and just because he did do it, the cops should be professional enough to be able to apprehend the guy and do the right thing and not let the man die.
Yeah,
I
So
agree.
if they were wrong, you agree they were wrong.
absolutely.
Okay.
I
The
agree.
cops were dead
But look at here.
wrong. I think
You make it sound like Jesse could not give in one bit, or he'll lose control of his narrative, what he stands for, and he stands for good. He's doing an awesome job bringing the message to the black people.
I think give Jesse some time. Jesse never makes moves before his time. He's very good about first sticking to the root. Like he
wait and
says,
see is his whole.
the root issue
Look at this
is
stuff.
always
I've
going to
been
be.
watching him a long time now. I've been watching him a long time, and he's been wrong a few times, just a few times. But when he's wrong, he never admits it. You show me one time he's admitted he was wrong.
I mean,
He's not going to give up. He's not going to give up. He's not going to give up what he stands for.
No, but on
That's
this
a good
case,
thing. But
because
when you're wrong, you got to admit you're wrong. Be a big enough man to say, "I was wrong." You know.
Where do you
I
think
was wrong.
Where do you see him as being wrong?
Where did I see him being wrong?
Yeah,
Today, did you watch the show today?
yeah.
He made it sound like the cops didn't do anything wrong, not a thing wrong, not one wrong move did they make.
Are you saying that he should have said that the cops were wrong?
But no, both parties were wrong. Just like Trevor, you explained it perfectly. If he would have been doing the right thing, he never would have been there. But he was there, and the white cops just did a bad job. They didn't. Both parties were wrong.
Right.
Okay.
Do you think Jesse's wrong for not saying?
He was wrong for being there.
Yeah.
Get in trouble, and the cop was wrong by the way he handled it.
But who has?
What's wrong with that?
What's the root of the problem, though, Skip? Because there can only be one root. So what is the root of the problem?
The root of the problem was the sin in this black man's life, the actions that he was doing.
Right, and that should always hold priority.
Right, but that's about the
because he
issue.
breaks
I'm
the
talking
law.
about Jesse, like making it saying that Jesse can't admit when he's wrong. I'm trying to understand where Jesse is wrong, because I understand what you're saying, but I don't see it being wrong that Jesse didn't acknowledge it and make it about the cop being wrong. Because I think Jesse knows how people think, and that he doesn't want to take off the fact that that wouldn't have happened had he not broken the law and been a criminal. So I don't think that he may not think that the cop was right, because he didn't say the cop was right either, but he didn't say the cop was wrong. So he's not admitting either way. He's just saying that wouldn't have happened if he had not broken the law, you know?
If he wouldn't have broken the law, it never would have happened because he wouldn't have been there.
Right.
But he broke the law, and the cops handled it wrong. The four of them did, I guess.
Yeah.
But why what is the problem with saying, hell, the white man can be wrong sometimes?
Well,
Both
I think
parties were wrong.
if you listen to the callers, when
Both parties were wrong.
what Jesse's dealing with these callers, Skip, and with most people, is that they still operate from anger and ego, and they're until he needs them first to admit what the root is, because what they don't want to admit is that George is an example. He is the root of his own problems, and if they could admit that, I guarantee you Jesse would be more open to talking about the rest, but he can't because they don't want that. They want Jesse to admit that the root of the problem was the cops' actions.
And I think the cops should be more than fired. They should be arrested. There should be a trial.
Let me ask you
And they
this.
should for murder, for sure.
The root of the problem is what got him there. But did the root of the problem kill him? Is that the reason why he died?
It put him in a situation. It put him in a situation to be with other people.
Is that what killed him? Yeah. Explain that to me.
Well,
Explain to me how his root problem killed him.
Because he wouldn't have been on the floor and in handcuffs by a cop at all if he hadn't committed a crime.
Right, he wouldn't.
That's not saying that when he did commit the crime that he deserves to die because it's not a death penalty. That officer is supposed to uphold the law and handcuff you and take you to jail. He's not supposed to be the henchman that puts you to death. You know, like I agree that the cops were
root
wrong.
problem killed him, though, right? The root problem put him there, and that's the reason why he died. It wasn't nothing to do with the mishandling of the police. Regardless if he'd been white or black, it didn't have anything to do with the mishandling by the police. It was his root problem that got him killed.
Right.
That's what you're telling me, right?
That's he wouldn't have been there in that situation.
I know that he wouldn't have died if he had not broken the law, but he also wouldn't have died if the cop was a good cop.
He would not have died if the cops would have been doing the right thing.
Right, but that's hoping.
Responsibility is they're being paid to be police. They're not being paid to be thugs and killing. They're paid to be police.
I agree. Well, would you agree that both of those things make sense? He would be alive had he not broken the law, and he would have been alive. He would have been alive as well if he was a good cop. So it's both right. It's not one or the other. It's that they're both true.
I'm not saying just one person is wrong. I'm not saying that at all. Both of them were wrong.
Yeah.
George shouldn't have been there. If he'd been living the right way, he would never have been there.
Right.
That got it started.
What do you think about? What do you think about
if the cop would have done his job in the right way, he'd still be living too.
What do you think about?
Both of their problems are got him there.
What do you think about the riots and the looting that's been happening? Do you think that if George never died, the root of the problem for the people that are looting and ruining the city, is it the cops' fault or is it the people that are doing its fault?
It's the people that's doing all the bad. It's their fault. Nobody makes you do anything.
Right.
If you say somebody makes you do something, you're saying that person's got more control over you than you have over your own self. So you cannot blame somebody else for making you do something.
Yeah. No, I agree.
No, that's the people that did it.
Cops are wrong,
the
man.
Doing all the work.
The way I look at it, Skip, and the reason why I'm with Jesse on not losing track of the root and making sure that point is driven home is because when you're dealing with a child, like when I was at my worst or my friends were at my worst, if my dad or my friend's dad would have given in and even made it seem like, well, you know what, I know what your root of the problem is, but I'm going to go ahead and say that it was the store owner's fault that you got arrested, or it was this guy's fault. They would not be doing me a service. They need to make sure that I understand that I am accountable for my actions, and then and only then can we say, all right, well, how could everyone have improved in this situation? But I just don't think he needs to give in on that because he's dealing with his own. He knows his own people the best. He's seen that anger, and he knows that they don't want to hear about the root. They want to sit there and complain about the consequences of it, and he knows that gets him nowhere. That he needs them to see that, and that's the most important thing. It doesn't mean that he doesn't want to talk about the rest, but he's certainly not going to get into that until they get that root problem.
Well, I just disagree with it.
Well, you know, like the whole give an inch and expect a mile or whatever.
Hold both parties accountable. Don't just hold one accountable.
Yeah.
When both of them are
I agree.
I agree.
Don't put it all on one. Don't put it all on one problem. Because his root problem did not make that white cop get up that morning and decide he was going to do like he did. Nobody made him do that but himself.
But he didn't get up that morning planning on killing anybody. That's what they want. That's the problem. They want that narrative to exist, that he has intent and that he meant to do that.
And I don't think the cop killed him because he was black. I think that cops just want any chance they can you know, these bad cops just like, you know, take advantage of it and feel powerful and hurt people.
You're right.
You know?
You're right, 100% right. I didn't see no racial thing to do with it at all.
Yeah.
I believe he would have helped me down like that. Because George was a little bit hard to get. I mean, he wasn't doing right when they first arrested him, was he? If he would have been, then they would have had to put him down on the ground, right?
Don't you? Isn't it interesting though how like in Chicago that same day 10 people died and 40 people were injured and no one talks about it or cares, but because it's a white cop doing something
That's the norm. That's a normal day.
Exactly. What do you think about that?
People learn to accept it.
Right.
They're sensitized about that.
Well, it's like Black lives only matter when it's white people killing them, and it's really sad.
And that's wrong. I know that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Jesse goes hard on them.
Like I wrote my statement. I'll be the first one or the last one to ever take up for a black person, because 9 times out of 10 they're wrong. They are wrong. But if they are right, in a sense, if they are right and not all the way wrong, I will stand up for them. That cop didn't have no right to kill him just because he was there.
For sure. I think the cops should be arrested and charged with murder.
There's another case, Skip. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but I was telling Trevor about it, and I wanted to bring it up on a stream and see what you think about it. There was a man named Kelly Thomas. He was a homeless man out in Fullerton, California, a couple of years ago, and cops were looking for a suspect who he fit the description of somebody breaking into cars in a parking lot. It quickly escalated from them having him sit on a corner while they check his information, and they ended up beating him pretty much to death. He died about 5 days later. If you look at the photos, he looked awful. He was screaming in pain. He couldn't breathe. It was the same thing, but he had 5 or 6 cops on top of him beating him while he was crying and pleading, "I can't breathe. Please, I'm sorry. I just can't breathe. Let me breathe." In that case, the media covered it a little bit, but there was no riots. I don't see any black people or any of these race hustlers come out and value his life and say, hey, this is not a race thing, but this is a great example of excessive force. Just like in this case with Floyd. Both could have done it. This guy, Kelly, probably could have been a little more compliant, but the cops had anger and ego, and they were looking and itching for action. So I can give you that, but the root is this is not a race thing. It's not that the blacks are right or the whites are right. It's just that let's focus on the spirit of it. And Floyd's wrong for being in that situation. The Kelly's wrong for being a little not as compliant as he could be, and the cops are wrong for how they handle it after that whole series began.
And if you really go think about it too, the citizens are wrong too, because it's like they were just standing there filming him. Like you could even punch the Asian guy, and that'll get the other cop. Take one for the team for another person's life. They didn't do anything but film and say stuff. Like they could have intervened enough to get him off. Like if you really believe someone is dying justly, like do something about it. That's scary to me to think like I could be killed. Anybody could be killed, and there's going to be a crowd around me filming me. Nobody's really going to save my life. It's crazy.
Nobody really gives a damn.
Yeah, but
they don't give a damn.
If social media didn't exist, people wouldn't give a damn even more. They just want to get it like, oh, here's my chance. I can get it on film. I'll go viral.
Yeah, I mean, and
think
who knows
about
what?
themselves.
Like Trevor made a point when we talk about the stuff that. The average citizen doesn't go through what the cops go through, and Just Happy made a great point, is that we don't have to deal with the amount of people they deal with. They have to deal with all the complainers, all the liars, all the people who want to start fights with them. You look at how Ahmaud Arbery, in those videos, he had no fear about approaching cops and being aggressive, so they're always having to assume that this person can try and do a move and take them out. So I get why they go overboard. Even in the Kelly Thomas case, I get why they want to do that, but I agree with you that the most honorable cop should have enough control to say, all right, do we have the leverage? Is it under control? Okay, let's reassess and not continue just escalating it. But not everyone's perfect, and they got ego. But it's not a race thing, and it's not about an evil cop. It's just a series of unfortunate events.
100% on that. It's not about race. It's about evil, good versus evil.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the main problem. That is the problem, the root behind it all. Good versus bad.
Yeah, it's just we're dealing with
I,
ego
I,
here.
I never looked at it as being. I never looked at it as being the white guy hated the black guy, and that's why he just did that.
Yeah, I know. I only
He
thought
was
that
a
because
racist.
I only asked because you said something in the chat about Jesse he hates black people, so that was about that.
Well,
So
yeah, look, I don't think Jesse. Sometimes Jesse does get a little bit out of control, in my opinion, and some other opinions of others in the chat. And I'm not just talking about Marcus Jones either, but sometimes he does harp a little. He does harp a little too much on the blacks, and instead does he ever give them any credit for anything? You know what? If you beat a dog, if you keep beating a dog, and don't reward him when he does something good, or talk about what he does good, that damn dog's he never gonna get no better.
you think
You
it?
can't beat somebody down, beat them down, and tell them about their bad, and not show anything good.
Do you think it's better to see when
What
you're
about?
wrong?
It's not all blacks. Not all blacks. How about showing us some good examples of the blacks that are doing the right thing?
Yeah, but Floyd is not a good
Not all
example.
blacks.
But Floyd is not a good example of doing the right thing because he didn't do the right thing. So Jesse,
Well, I'm not talking about that for an example, but I'm just saying he never talks any good about the blacks whatsoever. If I was a black, I'd hate his ass.
well, he does talk about. I mean, he talks about how it used to be. He talks about in the past, and the majority of them were great, and he has friends, and we have examples like Joel and Francisco, people at the church, and there are there, but it's such a pressing issue that it doesn't do any good. Like Trevor says, what's more important, to look at when you're wrong or when you're right? They need to see when they're wrong, because right now the media and everybody else just wants them to feel right all the time, that they're justified in being angry, and that's not helping them. It doesn't do any good. If the only thing that works is seeing that you're wrong and knowing why you're wrong and overcoming it.
Well, I just think he ought to well, it's his show and he can do it any way he wants. So I just think he ought to when a black does good, or find a story where a black did good. Quit finding all the stories about the blacks doing bad, which I know there's a million of them out there, and very few of them of a good black doing anything. But my God, you got to give a dog a treat every now and then if you want to keep coming to you.
Hey, that's racist, man. You saying black people are dogs? I'm just joking.
I know y'all. I ain't messing. I know y'all.
You know what? It makes me think of like Jesse goes real hard for defending, bringing fathers back and masculinity and talks about mothers and stuff, and it makes me think like it's kind of like nature of the father would be like the punisher, like the discipline, and then the mother would be the one to like be like, there, Billy, like you are great, you're real special,
Yeah, you're perfect.
and I think Jesse just always avoids any kind of motherly thing, and I don't know. I hear what you mean.
He's right about that. He's got a good point on that. He's 100% right. The mothers are the destruction of the family, I believe. But then again, the fathers are too.
Yeah.
The fathers are too because of their upbringing.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say, like, if Jesse talked like that, if I had did something wrong, and Jesse, doesn't spare my feelings, I like that. It doesn't make me wish that he would say something nice. I don't ever need a compliment from Jesse. Why I liked him and why he helped me and why he showed me the way back was because he didn't spare my feelings. He didn't need to tell me anything I did right. He only told me what I did wrong, and I appreciate that.
I remember when I would first start going to church and stuff, Jesse would always call me out on everything, and it started to annoy me. I was like, man, why is it Jesse's always picking on me? Or like, he never says anything good. Like, I make all these songs for him, and he only like says stuff, like in men's meetings or whatever. And then I realized that it was out of love, like, because he really like sees. I know he sees something in me.
He saw potential in you.
Yeah, and he wants to bring out. He doesn't want to make any excuses for me, like fluff my ego or anything. And he knows that me being in the entertainment industry, I probably got people giving me compliments all the time. He doesn't want to be the, the compliment guy. He wants to be like, no, you're doing this wrong, and help you get back on track to seeing what's right. You know? But I do hear what you're saying.
He's not going to be the yes man. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, at all. He doesn't do it. He only tells you what you're doing wrong.
When you're doing wrong.
Yeah. I thought for sure he, like, when I came and I wore that wig and I came in there, I thought he would at least, would have, like he went hard on me on the show. he never acknowledged at all at any point that it was funny or that like he got me good or anything like but that was expectations I created, but I still thought it was funny.
Right.
It didn't change my opinion about it. I still think it's funny.
Right. Now Jesse's doing an awesome job as far as the family. It's all about the family. To me, it's all about the family. And I never was a good husband or good father. I wasn't a good father because I never was there. I was an absentee father. I was always out partying, running the damn streets. And my wife, she raised the kids. She did a good job. All three of them are good and healthy and never been in trouble. And all have good jobs and all. I had a good wife. I got to take my hat off to it. I never was there to really raise them. And that was my fault. And now do I go and say that was my mom and daddy's fault? I guess in a sense I could, because I was the way I was raised. But when a man turns 18 years old, he's got to be a man and take his own responsibility for what he does. I can't go to the judge and say, well, damn, my parents never was there for me. It's their fault I went and robbed that store. I didn't mean to rob that store. It was their fault. So let's put the responsibility on them. Let's put the cause on them 100% because of the way I was raised. Now, let me tell you something. I know some people back home, some white people, and some black people that were just as poor white trash and black trash, and their mom and daddies were drinking all the time and cutting the food and in jail half the time. And you would think those kids, I tell you what, we used to ride the church bus on Sundays when we were kids. And when we go to church, get on the church bus and go to church, when the kids would get on the bus, they actually smelled. That's how, they were just stunk. They were just poor white trash. And had it worse than, nobody would want to live like that.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, three or four of them this day are some of the most respectable people in our hometown and have made the most out of themselves when they had no opportunity at all to do it. So, why can't anybody else do it? They did it. Why can't we say, well, it's mom and dad's fault why they didn't do it?
Right.
But they chose to do it. They made that choice to be a better person, to be better than mom and daddy was, and have something. And they're successful people. So I kind of go along a little bit with the way you brought up, but I always think about those three or four, and they chose not. It goes back to choice. They chose not to be like their mom and daddy. They chose to be better and live above that, and they did.
Right, and that's
choice.
When it comes to Jesse.
Choice is a big thing. Choice is a big word.
When it comes
you got to make a damn choice.
Right. When it comes to Jesse and like. I before I found him, I started digging into the history before civil rights and leading up to it, and I did also find the same thing, that it was all backwards. That they were by and far a very, very successful demographic. It was all just the government getting in there and trying to play daddy and make them you need to go integrate here. You need to break up these neighborhoods and break up these schools, and creating tensions where there were none. So imagine Jesse in his 71 years. That he's seen this. He watched his community. He watched fellow Black Americans be manipulated into falling for this stuff, and he just can't. He cannot budge, and so he's gonna be that strict father, like Trevor says, that he is not gonna give you an inch, because he saw what happened when they gave him an inch, when they gave him a little bit of emotion, when they gave him a little bit compliments and all these little nice things. He saw it destroy them. So his job is to hold the line at all times, and he's not going to budge. And I think we need more guys like that. As tough as it is to swallow sometimes, and it makes you think he hates them, it's out of pure love. He wants them to go back and be as successful as they used to be.
Well, I can see that, but I can also see where if you don't ever tell a man when he's doing right, you just need to tell somebody when they're doing. Yeah, let me tell you something. When you do a good job for somebody, I can tell you this from experience at work. When you do a good job, when you hear that boss or a coworker or something say you did a good job, it means a lot to you. It means a lot to those people.
I've heard Jesse.
People, let me finish.
Sure.
It does a lot of good to know that they appreciated what you did.
Yeah.
They appreciated it. Not just, well, you didn't do that right, you didn't do that right, you didn't do that right, you didn't do that right. But sometimes I appreciate it. I don't never tell people anything, but when I say something to them, I say, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Now, I don't appreciate what you did. I appreciate you as a person.
Yeah.
And that goes a long doggone way.
No, I agree, man. But I notice, callers that call in, like blacks that say they're married, not out of wedlock kids and stuff like that. He gives them praise, like good for you, and you're doing it right and stuff like that. But I don't see him do compliments in stories. I don't see him find news stories about certain situations. But then again, it's like, what news stories could you find? What would it be, like a black-owned business that came out that was new, or what? Like, what do you think is a good example of praise that you could give beyond the
Well,
callers that call in?
not so much praise, but I don't know, maybe a school teacher, or maybe some old black person in a nursing home. I hear stories about them all the time. And, how much they've helped what they did over their lifetime or whatever. And I don't know. There is some good black people out there. I know a lot of good black people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what. I'm in this doggone wheelchair right now, and Stacy, she was in the hospital back during December in intensive care because of her breathing, and I didn't have anyone I could call to come help me clean up this house. It's a one-bedroom apartment where I got these 2 dogs, and they tore this bastard up in 30 minutes after Stacy was gone. And I'm in a wheelchair, and I couldn't really do nothing. This apartment was tore slap up. I almost did, but crap all over the floor and pee all over the floor, and I couldn't do nothing about it. And I had no one that I could call to really do it but Pearl. She's a 68-year-old black woman. Me and her used to shoot on the pool league together.
Yeah.
And I called Pearl up, and that was days after I've been sitting in this goddamn crap because I couldn't get nobody to help me, and the pride was. Anyhow, she came over here and she did it for me.
Yeah, and I hear you. Do you think?
There's some good black people out there.
Of course.
You know.
But do you think that the job title you choose and sign up to do, like if you want to be a teacher, does that make you good because you do your job?
It don't make you good, but some stand above others and go an extra mile when they don't have to.
Yeah.
Don't they?
But I mean, in defensive, well, not defensive, but on that idea, when I was in the fallen state and living wrong, there was plenty of times where I did things to help people, and I was, I would go help my friend move or, offer things or volunteer, but that didn't change the fact that I was still operating from ego and anger. Yes, there can be good people, people who do seemingly good things, but I think the danger, I still side with Jesse that I don't want to praise anybody too soon, because really, like Trevor always says, all glory goes to God. I'm not going to give anybody praise because I don't want to risk stroking that ego, because what if they're in a fallen state, which most people are, you don't help them at all with that. You don't hurt them by not complimenting them, but you can hurt them by complimenting them too much.
A lot of people do help people just so they can be noticed and be told how good they are. And that's wrong. The Bible says never let your left hand know what your right hand's doing. If you're doing something good, don't go announce it and telling everybody you already got your award. God ain't your reward you for that. You done got your award. You never tell nobody or never brag about what you do. That's ego.
Yeah.
You're right about that, and that is a big problem. But there are some good, genuine people that go around and do stuff and never let anybody know about it.
Yeah, like girlfriends I noticed in my past, they'd always need compliments all the time, or else they'd end up feeling like I wasn't attracted to them, or I didn't love them, or whatever. They'd get insecure unless I was feeding them compliments, and it's like, I don't know, that's women.
But that's bull crap. I never went in all that the compliments and all this crap. Cause if I did do something like that when I was younger, in my early 20s, I might have complimented someone I didn't feel like I needed to, but I did just to get in, get the drawers or whatever.
Yeah.
But it sounded fake when I was delivering it, when I was giving the compliments.
Right.
Whenever I was saying something, you could tell it wasn't genuine.
Yeah. Compliments.
So I'd have been better off just to keep my mouth shut.
When people give me a bunch of compliments, it makes me wonder, like, what are they trying to get? Like, what are they up to? Like, why are they trying
to... What do they want? I know it. They want something. They want something.
Exactly.
I mean, I get you, Skip, but I mean, for me personally, since waking up, I don't want people's compliments. Because then I don't want to ever have my ego stroked anymore. I'm just fine with just, If I do something, I don't expect anything in return. I'm happy enough just to do it, and that's it. You know, I'm not gonna compliment my kids if I do have children. I'm just gonna, you know, look at it. Did they do it right? All right, great. Let's move on to the next task. Because I think it's just a fine line. Like, we live in a world that already strokes people's egos and it wants to pull you in that way. So I just think it's important that men don't contribute to that.
I agree with you 100% right. But I guess what I really got kind of pissed off today was, yes, the black guy was wrong. George, whatever his name was. He was wrong, or he never would have been there. But don't act like the white guy ain't wrong. Don't act like he didn't do nothing wrong.
Oh, he's wrong.
Huh?
He's definitely wrong.
What did he do wrong?
They both had ego, that's for sure. Both of them are not. They're not born again, and they're not awake.
And they're both wrong.
Right, but when somebody does something good, I'll say, yeah, they did good. But when somebody does something wrong, like I get called out sometimes in chats when I don't agree. I'm not one of these disciples. I'm not one of these Kool-Aid drinking disciples that don't care what the person they honoring or watching, what they say or do. I'm going to go along with them anyhow. And there's a bunch of Jesse-ites in there that do that, don't care if he's right or if he's wrong. I'll call him out when he's wrong, if I believe he's wrong, and I'll compliment him when he's right. And I'll do the same things with James Hayden. I would not say nothing bad against him if I don't think he did something wrong or I disagree with him. If I disagree with him, I'll let him know I disagree with him. But I'm not going to go along. I don't go along just to get along. You ever heard that saying? Trevor?
Yeah.
Some people go along just to get along. Well, I'm not one of them.
Keep the peace.
And I don't say it to be mean or ugly to nobody, but I'm not going to go along with you.
I agree.
The primary problem and the primary wrong is always going to be the person who initiated it by living wrong. So doesn't mean that there's not wrong decisions made down the line, but you know, how did it start? And that's the issue. Fix that, and you won't have to worry about the consequences. It doesn't. And it's not ignoring it.
To a certain degree.
Yes, I don't ignore it.
How it starts is one thing, but how it ends up is another thing too. If you got some control over how it's going to end.
But there should be priority on fixing the root. If you can get rid of the root, you won't bear any more evil fruit. You know, like focusing on that, I don't think it diminishes any mistakes made down the line or downstream of that event. But it's a disservice to try to say that they're both equally wrong. I think no, one is, what's the primary wrong? Don't just live right. You know, we live in a world full of fallen people, fallen cops, fallen politicians, fallen mothers and fathers. Live right so you don't become subject to that.
But if I was comparing I would say that, committing a crime of forgery, murdering is way worse. You know, I will say that. Like, the cop is wrong for that, and he should be punished for it. He should be in jail or whatever. Like, you know, he didn't deserve to die for that.
No, he didn't deserve to die, but I don't know. I just, if both of them were wrong. Do you agree they were both wrong? The white guy and the black guy were wrong.
Yeah.
I agree, but one was more wrong than the other.
Do you have a problem admitting that? You have a problem admitting that?
It's not equally wrong.
The black guy was wrong. The black guy was wrong because of this. Explain to him. This is why he was wrong. This is why he was wrong. Okay. And the white guy, he was wrong because of this. Explain why he was wrong. Give him an explanation behind it, and then you're not following weak just because one's black and one's white. You give it a full explanation of it, and if you're scared that if you say something bad about the white person, it's gonna make the blacks go back into a high rut again like a buck and go crazy because you're agreeing with them. You're not agreeing with them. You're just explaining why this one was wrong and this one was wrong.
Right, but Jesse did explain that he needed.
It's like the guy that went in the elevator, the woman that went in the elevator in New York City, and they went littering the building, I think is what it was, and then they followed her all the way upstairs or something. They were both wrong.
Right.
But Jesse would not get up that high horse for nothing that the other was wrong. He just won't do it. And wrong is wrong and right is right. Don't call that wrong, right.
Well, I think, but Jesse doesn't have to say that. Him saying that the root of the problem is this doesn't change anything else. He's not saying that the cop is not wrong completely. He's saying, this morning he said he needs to see the video. From what he understands, and what he's always going to stick to is like, well, this first of all, this wouldn't have happened if he was living a just life, and that's the number one thing. Start with that, and then give it time. Wait and see. Watch Jesse. When he does watch the video, he may have a different opinion, but it still won't change what he sees as the root problem, and that's always going to be his point that he drives home. So we can't. I'm not worried about Jesse saying it like I do, or how you would do it. We would all say it in a way that's true to us.
He didn't say the cop was right.
Yeah, he just said he was doing his job initially. That's all he can say for now.
Look here. I'm still waiting on him to say Epstein was wrong. He made excuses for Jeffrey Epstein. Because he's a man. The way they tricked the men. They tricked the men. They tricked all men like this. Well, yes, the feminism and all that, the homosexuals and all that crap, that's a bad agenda, and the men do get a bad rap. But when the man is wrong, you call that man wrong. You don't stand up for him for the whole group of men, group of all the men. He's never said anything wrong or bad against Epstein what he did. Never acknowledged that Epstein did what he did. I mean, he gets so hardcore on something that he just won't budge one bit. And I guess that's good when you're right, but sometimes when you're wrong, it makes you look worse when you don't admit you're wrong.
Yeah.
That's just me now. And other people might think different. I think a lot of them do. But if you're wrong, look at it. If I'm wrong, I'm going to admit I'm wrong.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, you know what?
But
I looked at it and I was completely wrong. And I've done that. I'm completely wrong. And I should have looked at it a whole lot more before I made my decision or something.
well, think the fact. I mean, just think about this, kid. The fact that this event is in your memory more than the beating of Kelly Thomas. That's why I don't believe it helps to focus on what happens afterwards, because people don't care about all these things. We're only taught to care because the media makes us care about this issue or that or this event, and it's all fitting into a narrative. We need to step back and like the kids say, where's that same energy when they killed Kelly Thomas? No one remembers that case, and that shows that. Are you really concerned about what this cop did wrong in the Floyd case, or is it because the media makes you feel more concerned about this, but not about Kelly Thomas? That's where the trap is.
I look at it because it's wrong. I don't look at it because the way the blacks are looking at it, the way the media's putting it out there. That has nothing to do with the decision to make it right and wrong. What's right and what's wrong. Not one bit. And if you let that influence you in any kind of decision you make, then you're just as damn wicked as they are.
Yeah,
but you're as weak as the media and weak as the politicians. When they look at you and tell you a complete lie and sell it to you, wrap it up and put a bow on it and sell it to you as the truth, and you know it's a lie. You know it's a double. They know it's a lie, but they sell it to you. They sell it to you every day on CNN, MSNBC, and people are buying it. They're buying it by 12 packs.
That's what this case is too. I mean, everyone is going to remember this in Ahmaud
Arbery. That's what they're
Arbery,
going to do with this here.
but no one's remembering all the white people who get killed every day, and that's the problem. Like it's stroking the egos again. It's stroking that victim ego. It's like it's not. We know we can always see where people go wrong, but this is not any more important than Kelly Thomas's case. Yet, in 9 out of 10 people don't know anything about it.
This case is what it really is. They're going to look at this case as a white and black thing, and Whitey is doing wrong again. They're going to pervert the whole thing, and it's just going to be a mess, a complete mess. Instead of saying this man and this man. They go to this black man and this white man. You never hear them say this man and that man. It's a white man and a black man.
Exactly.
They make it all about color and race.
Exactly. That's why no one remembers Kelly Thomas.
Every race hustler within 1,000 miles is going to be there this week.
Yeah, they can't wait. It's almost like they're happy that these things happen because they're like, yes, finally I get something that's going to prove that I get to loot now. Now I get to run around and rob people and destroy and vandalize and say that I'm a victim. It's all used for that. Otherwise, they would care about like the deaths that happen every day, everywhere, like Chicago. They don't care.
If anyone thinks that race hustlers care about them, they're completely wrong. They don't care about nothing but
one of the comments, one of the people in the comments had a good premise or question. Just Happy, she says that basically, if we want to solve this, if we want to prevent this in the future, there's two ways we can go about it. We can either take the route of, all right, well, we'll just look at all the cops wrongdoing from here on out, Does that solve it, which is downstream of the events, or do we focus on the root, which is who initiated it, and which one would end it in the future? And if we can get rid of the root, we don't have to worry about seeing who's wrong after the fact. And that's why focus on the root, stop the behavior, and we won't need to be talking about which cops are doing wrong.
If you pull it up from the roots, if it's a bad root, you pull it up, it can't grow.
Exactly.
If you start at the root, of course you do. But you still don't give a free pass to the white guy, or the black guy, or the Asian guy, or the other wrong guy. You still, you don't he kills them. I swear to God, it kills them. They were both wrong, but we're going to focus on that one because it's the root. Well, yes, we're going to focus on the root because if the root never did grow, it never would have happened.
Exactly.
And there's a button there, but both parties messed up. Both parties messed up. Don't just put it all on that one guy. Don't put it all on him.
It's not putting it all on anybody. It's putting it all on right or wrong, and all this could be avoided if people just live their lives right. And I think I don't want to concern myself with what happens after the fact. They'll investigate it. He'll face whatever he's gonna face, but it's not helping the kids in Minnesota. They're rioting because all they're focusing on is exactly that, the cops' wrongdoing. They don't care about Floyd's wrongdoing, and that's the problem. That doesn't help them. Help them overcome it and realize, hey, if you're doing wrong and right now you're rioting, if you get shot, you're also going to deserve that too because you just reap what you sowed. You shouldn't be out here destroying property. Because then they're going to say, like the media's already saying, these peaceful protesters are getting tear gassed in Minnesota, and that's a lie. It's the same thing. We're saying, oh, the cops are wrong for shooting tear gas when they're the ones who started rioting. It's a never-ending cycle.
I never disagreed with you. I never disagreed with you about the root.
Yeah,
no
I know.
What started it. If he never did, I never disagree with that because I go along with Jesse 100% on the upbringing and the raising up of a youngin'. But I'm not going to dismiss what he did too. And
Absolutely.
I think we're saying pretty much the same thing. At the end of the day, we're not saying too much different.
Yeah. I just hopefully people. Again, I think just focus on the root. If you can focus on the root, you'll obviously see what's wrong with the fruit. But still, let's tackle the root at all times.
Yeah, you're right. And I looked at a little bit of the history of the guy George, and he's gone down a lot over the years. And you can see where it's just gone down more and more and more, getting worse and worse shape and worse shape. And for the choices he was making. And it was bound to happen one day.
Exactly.
Happen. If you're making bad decisions, nothing good's gonna come from it.
Yes, sir. And that's it. That's the best thing we can do for the kids is just let's change this root problem, and we won't have to see this happen.
Yeah. Well, look, I appreciate y'all talking me through this. Now I can go to bed later.
All right.
Bye, brother.
All right. Bye.
Great call. Let's see, we had Lin Chen was making it rain with the super chats.
Lin Chen, I appreciate it, bro. You the man. This sound is for you.
Scroll back.
It's the official Lin Chen sound.
The cops were fearful cowards, feeling the pressure of insecurity. That is why they lack the situational awareness to act appropriately. Can't use the oblivious to handle the oblivious. Incompetence. Fair assessment. What do you think?
Not sure I understand.
Basically, the cops were imperfect because they were insecure, they had fear, so naturally they made mistakes. They didn't handle it the perfect way.
I can't say why they made a mistake, but they did. And if I had to guess why they made that mistake, it's because the dude has anger, a big ego, authoritarian issue, and took advantage of the situation and abused his authority. He's not a real cop. He's a thug with a badge, and not all cops are like that. And there's certain things that I disagree with, which is, rioting against all cops. It's like, no, there's bad cops and there's good cops, but you never hear about the good cops.
No.
There's cops out there that go out, see kids playing basketball and go play basketball with them. Like, cops go out of their way to show the citizens that they're our friends and they want to protect us and stuff. But the only thing that makes the limelight is all the horrible ones. And then everybody's like, oh, cops are bad. And
just look at the stats alone. there's a great graph. I wish we can have it shown, but when it shows there's a graph showing the interracial crime. So it shows blacks on whites, Hispanic on white, and then white on black. 10-to-1 rate for blacks attacking whites, like a 6 or 7-to-1 rate Hispanics attacking whites, and like then the tiny little fraction of whites attacking blacks. And what the media is doing, same thing with cop shootings of people, is they zoom in on that fraction of incidents, and they use that to get us riled up. And it's not saying that that didn't happen, but it's not fair, and it's distorting the narrative. It makes you think, like Trevor says, that all cops are evil, and all white cops have problems against black people. They're zooming in on such a small thing, when the majority is, most of them do their job, most of them care about defending what's right, and just like there's other ones who enforce this lockdown, which is unconstitutional. But it just, people's energy is only devoted to whatever the media tells you to. They're leading you down this path that only ends in one thing, which is destruction for everybody. Lynn also said, for the super slow, my last chat was regarding those 4 cops as being incompetent, aka wrong, or unworthy, not fit as officers. Bad batch, mama batch.
And another thing you think about is this cop acted this way in front of other people on film. So imagine how he has treated people in his career off film, by himself. You think about that, and he's like, dude, get that guy out of here, man. We don't need those cops.
Yeah. Just Happy has a good point. Rioting is insane. How can you claim righteousness when protesting unfairness by willfully destroying the property and lives of innocent citizens? Only rubes and criminals engage in such behavior.
Exactly. That's what evil does. The deceiver is going to always try to convince you to justify your wrongs. You got that call, son.
Moscow, Tennessee.
Okay, you called me.
Was
Accept, press 1. To
this,
send a voicemail,
let's see how
press
this
2.
one turns out. Hello? Yeah.
I knew it was so weirdo.
Knew it was some weirdo. Just the trollers be trolling. So Janitra had a question here, Trevor. Wouldn't the world be a better place if there was no crime? That's not a realistic solution.
I'm 9 call out.
Let me go ahead
It's
and
the
block.
same person blocked.
Yeah. Oh, Texas. Let's see.
Blocked.
Call from.
Janitra, I agree. Janitra. Excuse me.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Janitra.
Hello? Hello? Yeah.
These guys.
All the trolls.
They have no, how do you say it? They're not an adult or like a man enough to have a civilized, back and forth conversation to discuss stuff. They have to just be angry. It's just the same mentality as these rioters that go out and riot and destroy and vandalize. It's like one wrong makes a right. It doesn't.
Yeah.
And people like this, it's like, I just don't understand. It's like, I remember I used to make prank calls when I was a kid.
Yeah. So here goes to Janitra's question, because these people are wasting time. She says, it's not a realistic solution. Don't commit a crime and you won't get killed? ? Someone steals, so your punishment is death? ? It's not that the punishment is death. Let's see who.
Call from.
Yeah.
Listen to this guy.
Amazing. We're getting all the trolls tonight.
It's the same guy.
He has multiple numbers.
It's cool. Block them all.
Yeah, you're all blocked. That's the crazy part. So these are the people who think that they're on the right side of everything. Let's see. This is fun. We'll just weed them all out.
Call from.
Sounds like he's not even like an American.
Let's
What
see.
is Janitra's question?
Yeah, so she's saying, don't commit a crime and you won't get killed? ? Someone steals so your punishment is death? ?
No, and I said that. I don't think that that's...
I'm 9 call out.
same person?
Huntington Park. I got a feeling it's probably the same thing.
Call from. Dear Melissa. To accept,
She said
press
Melissa?
1. To send
Melissa.
voicemail, press 2.
Melissa?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Listen to this guy. Sounds like he's in the shower. He must be naked.
Yeah. He's got the spirit of his mother.
Well, maybe mute it so that we don't hear her call anymore. Janitra, I'm sorry, I want to be refreshed on what she said. I know, I remember kind of, but I don't want to get it wrong.
So she said, wouldn't the world be a better place if there was no crime? That's not a realistic solution. Don't commit a crime and you won't get killed. Someone steals so your punishment is death? A bit extreme.
No, I agree. Absolutely, that he did not deserve to die. Absolutely. And that's that. He did not deserve to die. But the only argument I'm saying, I'll speak for myself, is that when you commit crimes and you put yourself and you greater the odds of the hell that can be brought onto you, and that's all. And he didn't deserve to die at all, and the cop was absolutely wrong for that.
Yeah, it's saying that the root is Floyd living wrong doesn't say that the punishment for forgery should be death. But that's an emotional thing where the media is also saying that, like, so we deserve to die for that? No one's saying that. But if you live wrong, it creates a whole cascade of things. And we've all known that because how many times we've done mistakes in our lives and it led to something else going wrong and something else going wrong. And in extreme cases, for people who do crime, it either gets you in prison or gets you killed. Doesn't mean that the punishment should have been death. The guy who used excessive force should have got off the neck well after he got them subdued.
Yeah, that cop is trash. Trash cop.
T-Warrior, what's up, buddy? Let's see what they said. Mom's basement must be cozy. Exactly. All these trolls calling from their baby mama's house and using their girlfriend's phone.
I wouldn't even say it's their baby mama. These types of people probably can't even. They're like incels. Can't get a girl. It's probably just their mom.
Yeah. Johnny says he was the last one. If you were the last one, why are you talking nonsense?
We're getting calls still.
Let's see.
We just don't want to be able to hear. Maybe take it off speaker until you're confirmed that who they are, so that they don't have to hear what their nonsense is.
Is this Marty? What's up, buddy? 1 second. Go ahead, Marty.
Yeah, I need to switch phones because I got too much static on this one. I don't know what happens. Every time it rains over here, man, we just get this freaking nasty static. And, let me see here. Let me switch.
What's cracking, bro? What's you got any questions or anything you want to say?
I just wanted to, I wanted to ask if, well, there's a couple things, man. Like, I think that Skip is a little bit sometimes of a snake, you know what I mean? He's like, I don't know. It's just, I get along with him, but he just seems like he's always got some kind of ulterior motive. You know what I'm saying?
I don't get that vibe from him. I think he's just see something differently, but I don't sense any anger or like hatred or snakiness from him.
He's just, I mean, he's being honest from what he can observe, and that's all you can ask from somebody. He's not trying to manipulate us or change us. It's what he sees.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I don't know. It's just something weird, just something, you know, I don't know. I think you're probably right, though.
Yeah, but don't let your thoughts, because you got to go by what he says, not by what you think he's trying to say.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
Just like these people who are calling in trolling, these trolls who are calling in, they're not listening to what anyone's saying. They just hear what they want to hear, and they get angry. They can't even sit there and calmly say what they want to say. So that's the same problem. Your thoughts will turn against you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I could have called and said, domo arigato, Mr. Roboto, or something like that. You guys would have been like, here's another one. You know, I was put in a chat, but at a keyboard that Trevor's playing when he's playing certain chords, it sounds like the song "Player, Baby Come Back," or I'm sorry, "Baby Come Back" by Player. Is he familiar with that?
Baby, come back.
Yeah, that's about all I know of that song.
Yeah, because that keyboard sounds very similar to that sometimes when you're tickling the ivories.
Yeah, it's a classic, raw electric piano sound. So I'm sure a lot of songs have it.
That's what my girlfriend used to do. Tickle the ivory.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to keep you guys. I just thought I'd call in and I just got done eating some KFC coleslaw and it was really good. And then 11 Herbs and Spices. Their chicken is just phenomenal. And I'm just getting done with my full belly. And
Well, thanks for
I love by the way, I love the freaking Clint Eastwood style freaking harness. That is fantastic. That gun cradle and
Oh,
yeah.
also,
I know, it's really just for your cell phone.
Just Happy says that it accentuates and makes a man more attractive.
It's more of a,
Oh, yeah.
a cell phone and a wallet, but I use it for my knives so I can conceal. It's probably illegal, but whatever. It's either I die or I follow the law.
with that.
No, just the laws in California are so bad. It's like you're not allowed to defend yourself or position yourself to defend yourself. It's like call the cops. If someone's gonna rob you and kill you and at gunpoint or knife point, you're not allowed to have anything on you to defend yourself, and it just blows my mind.
Yeah, it's a 2-inch blade limit in LA, which is ridiculous.
Oh my
How are
god.
you gonna defend yourself with a 2-inch blade?
Yeah, they're actually. It's so weird. I don't understand why, but they're trying to here in Missouri. They're trying to legalize brass knuckles, and I'm like, what? Who came up with that? What? I'm like, what? I'm just. Somebody comes up and says, we need to legalize brass knuckles. I'm like, who carries brass knuckles? I mean, I got no problem with anybody that carries them, but I'm just like, what? Who came up with that? But I was going to say that my favorite two knives, because I love Moores, by the way, and I know you have one of those, but I think I've got like 3 or 4 of them. But my two favorite knives, other than the Mora, would be the Gurkha Kukri. I put this in the chat. I don't know if you guys saw it. I love the Gurkha Kukri, and I also love the K-bar, the Marine K-bar.
Yeah, that's a great knife.
That is a knife that is indestructible, and I do not support Gerber because I had a Gerber, and it was a fighting knife, and I had it when I was in the military, and I threw it at a tree, and I still have it. It snapped in half. It hit the tree crooked and just freaking ping. And I was like, what the? I was like, that's not a cheap knife. And, but yeah, I mean, I have never had a bad problem with a K-bar. Or,
You've never had a problem at a gay bar?
What's that?
Did you say you've never had a problem at a gay bar?
Did you ever see that video at the gay bar that's on YouTube?
No.
I have not.
Oh, you need to look that up. At the gay bar.
I don't want
It's
that in my
pretty
search
funny.
history.
Yeah.
What's that?
Said I don't want that in my search history.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother deal. But yeah, it's a pretty good song actually. But it's just funny to watch it. But yeah, man.
Well,
So,
before we move on,
it's just.
before we move on to the next caller, Marty, do you have any questions for us?
No, not really. I'll just let Maze or T or Earl get through
Yeah.
and
I don't think they.
I know.
I don't think they will.
What
Thank
is,
you, brother.
What is Justin Timberlake having his inhaler?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Clint Eastwood over there.
Clint Eastwood?
Well, it's just gasoline.
Just a little kerosene.
Gasoline and kerosene in his inhaler. That's funny.
All right, Marty.
All right, man. I'll talk to you guys later. Talk
Thanks,
to you later.
thanks, brother. All right.
So yeah, hopefully, Janitri, I answered your question or whatever properly.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think that's a trap. It's an emotional trap that the media is trying to push to equate those two things when they have nothing to do with each other. Acknowledging that what the root is doesn't justify the lack of responsibility downstream. But it's just important, I believe, that you need to fix that root, and we don't have to worry about anything that happens after that. If we can knock that out, the rest won't happen.
If it's an innocent person who didn't commit a crime that's getting killed by a cop, then obviously all of that goes on the cop, and it still goes on the cop with this George Floyd situation because he didn't, he's a shitty cop, didn't do what was right. All I'm saying is, you can decrease your odds of having those kind of things happen when you just follow the laws, and as I talk about carrying knives, but. Yeah. I wouldn't commit forgery or fraud or, steal from somebody or rob someone or any of that kind of thing. Vandalize, like even these people that are vandalizing, it's like they're going to justify and say, well, if the cops didn't do that, then I wouldn't have, destroyed Target. Because they're breaking in these stores and they're stealing.
Yeah, what does that have to do with
all
that?
in the name of justice, and it's just like that's the way that people are thinking nowadays. Is that because this is wrong, I'm gonna go do wrong, and it just doesn't work that way.
There's no honor in that. There's no righteousness. That's not God. That's not love. These people are not stealing from these grocery stores and AutoZone because they love George Floyd. It's because they hate cops, and that's the difference. What are you operating from? If you love that man, if you love all people. You're supposed to love all people. That's what really makes you a Christian. Then you want to deal with the situation without emotion, and that's how you get justice. You don't go out there and get emotional about it, and then go break someone's business.
Yeah, the difference is like if you actually cared and you want to do something out of care, maybe you would like figure out who his family was and send some flowers or something like that. Something that actually does something from a caring place, as opposed to go out and rage in the streets. I never understood that.
So if any of the Genetria or Just Happy, anyone that we know, because it seems like we got some trolls waiting in the wings, but give us a call if you want to come in and share your take. The beauty of talking is that we don't have to agree, and in discussing it, we can learn things. Like Jesse always says, edify. We're here to edify one another. We're not here to teach anyone anything.
Edify, don't pedify.
Yeah. Why does Trevor look like a dude who uttered the words, "I got that some bitch"?
Because I did.
Just Happy says, if the cops didn't do that, I wouldn't, quote unquote. It's such a diaper baby excuse. Two wrongs don't make a right, especially a wrong against a random person who wasn't involved in the original bad act. Illogical. Exactly. That's why it's important to stay focused on the right or wrong of it and not get caught up in the emotion. Because look at all these kids. They're all out there thinking that this is the right thing to do. And everyone should be condemning that across the board. The lawyer for that man should be condemning that. That's ridiculous behavior. That's not love at all. That's hate. The black guy in Brunswick was wrong, but I believe the two white guys could have handled the problem with having to take the gun with them. I believe they are all wrong. Possibly Skip, but I have a different opinion about the Arbery case. We have a right to be armed in some states, and it's our right. And if you have that right, you have that right. Don't reach for a man's gun unless he's actively shooting at you, and you have a chance to take it away. But if he's not, then you just gotta comply. Unfortunately, that's citizen's arrest. Let's see. Do you know any Michael McDonald? Asks Skip.
Michael McDonald? I know this song, was it? I keep forgetting when I'm not in love anymore. I keep forgetting how you'll never be the same again. And the crowd goes mild. So what Michael McDonald sounds like, he's just saying rah rah rah, rah 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 rah.
Yeah, don't forget the call line. Genetria, Just Happy, Chele. 308-5559. It seems like the trolls calmed down. God, I blocked most of them. You know, and it'd be nice to actually talk to these people who feel the complete opposite. But if they go just check their ego at the door and actually talk about it, but they don't want to talk. They're just like the rioters. They just want to insult and call names.
But see, they're so emotional that that's what's going to skew their logic to where they cannot be reasonable, and that's why they are wrong. And they don't want to see what's right, so they emotionally just act out and call names and try to like get attention and say stuff because they know deep down to their core that they have no argument. So all they can do is name call and act a fool.
Yeah.
So it's like it's obvious. You know?
These are the people, the majority of the people who are up in arms about these incidents, and that's why they're wrong. And they have no argument, you know, and they make people look bad who do have a different opinion, like Skip's take on it. You know, Skip might agree with them, but Skip has the ability to at least sit there and talk about it and explain why he feels this is how he feels, this is what he sees. Whereas these people have no explanation, they got zero logic, it's just all emotion, it's all anger. You make me want to give up my music career, says Marty. Hang it up, Marty. Sing, you ain't black like Michael McDonald.
I don't know that one. Didn't Joe Biden sing that?
Joe Biden, oh yeah, you had the T.I. song. Shelly, got it. Call in, Shelly. We'd love to hear from you. Give us some new opinions.
I don't want Joe Biden, don't need Joe Biden. You can vote Joe Biden, you ain't black. But you can vote however you like. You can vote however you like. Yeah.
Everyone's a little shy tonight. But let me see. Anyways, in other news, while we wait for one of you guys to give us a ring. So Ice Cube had posted about this cop, and he shared this meme that's going around that shows what's supposedly him wearing a "Make Whites Great Again" hat, and it's not the guy. It's apparently this troll. He goes by the name Jonathan Lee Riches, and he's trolled different ways, making conservatives and these white suspects look bad, from the Ahmaud case to the Sandberg kid that wore the MAGA hat, and that's all he's been doing, trolling all the way back to the Newtown shootings, just pretending to be involved with this. Oh, let's see, we got
I
somebody.
heard a call. Am I tripping?
Davis, this might be Johnny.
Call from.
Me.
Let's see. Is this Johnny? Johnny, what's up? Hold on, I'll put you on speaker. Good. Let me get you situated. Alright, sorry I missed you earlier, but we just had to screen out those trolls.
Yeah, no, I was kind of trying to block you guys from him.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, it's amazing, you know, to see that, but that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. You know, talk about these issues, but just lose the anger. You don't have to agree with us.
Right.
I don't agree with Trevor on things, but we don't hate each other for it. we all have different points of view.
Right. Hey, you guys live there together?
No,
Oh, okay.
what's your question, Johnny?
What's my question?
Yes.
I was just calling to say what's up, I guess.
Amazing.
Was hearing about some riots on the 110, I guess. I got a buddy down in Long Beach, and he was saying they're happening like near the Compton area. So I was like, well, don't go into Compton. I don't think he will.
I didn't realize there was riots until Epstein's ghost talked about it, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I'm sure there'll be more riots.
yeah.
But T-Ward. Oh no, yeah, Marty called in earlier. Well, but yeah, I mean, if you don't have any questions, Johnny, I'll see if I missed anybody else who's trying to call in.
All right.
Okay. Oh yeah, by the way, are we good? You're still upset at us?
I mean, I'm always a little salty, but I mean, that's just how I roll, man.
All right.
I gotta keep my eyes open and keep my ears open. You know what I mean?
All right. Suffer.
Anyway.
Well, thank you, bro, for calling and checking up.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
care,
Johnny.
Yeah. You gotta take care.
Bye. I'll put the volume up a little bit on this call. So, anyways, yeah, so they posted this. Cube posted this thing with that fake actor trying to make this guy look bad, which is just further, people saying, "Oh yeah, see, look, he has a Make Whites Great Again hat," and it's just stoking the fire and throwing gasoline on this thing.
I don't even understand, like, when I hear make whites great again, that could be either a positive or negative. It could mean the whites aren't great and they need to be better. Or it could mean make whites the most powerful people. Like, I don't know, however you want to interpret it, you can. That's why stuff like that, it's like, I don't try to analyze and figure it out and think I know. Like, great, it's a hat. Like, who cares?
And it's not even that guy. It's somebody trying to make them look a certain way. So I mean, just
What does he even mean by it? I don't get it.
no. This guy posed as the cop. He's pretending to be the police officer, acting like there's a photo of him wearing a Make Whites Great Again. It's not the cop.
He put the hat on the cop?
No, it's another white dude, a Jewish dude, I think, who's acting like he's that cop. And he's done this before. He tries to make them all look bad.
Oh, he's reenacting.
No, he's just putting out false pictures. So to spread racism.
So he is putting a hat on the cop.
No, it's not on the cop. It's this guy's an actor, acting like he's the cop. He's pretending to be the cop.
So he's reenacting.
Not reenacting, he's just creating a false narrative. He's like, so people say, oh look, there's a photo of the cop wearing a Make Whites Great Again hat. It's not even the cop, it's some other dude. And he's done this with the McMichael case, with the Ahmaud Arbery. He grew a beard out, wore the same hat, Make Whites Great Again, saying, we need to raise money for these two innocent men, so that people could say, look, see, his friends are white racists. And that's all he does is troll the whites. And then and people like Ice Cube, use it as proof when it's all false. It's not even.
They end up. It always ends. The truth comes out later, and then people look dumb. And then nobody wants to take accountability for being wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so stupid, man. Everybody wants to. Not everybody, but most people want to get riled up and feel like it's all entertainment, and they like to piss people off. It's insane.
So in international news, IKEA in Germany opened their parking lots for Muslims to do their Ramadan prayers, as well as in the United Kingdom, they were out in this place called Canary Wharf, and so a lot of people were saying that this seems biased because they don't seem to do any of these favors for Christians or other religions, and they just seem to kind of just open the door.
Where is this?
Germany and the UK.
Oh, I don't care. I'm an American.
Yeah, but
I worry about America, okay? And as far as America goes, I think the churches have been reopened. Right?
they have, and I think Garcetti finally gave in. He's not going to push back.
Yeah, good, because he's trash.
Okay. Jared Kushner is... Oh, Kelvin's in the chat. Buddy,
What's up, Kelvin?
Kelvin J. This is another good example. Hey, Kelvin, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. But Kelvin also posts things that he's black. He black. He posts things that some black people wouldn't agree with, and then things that they would. And there's things I agree with Kelvin on. There's things I don't. But it's nothing but love for him, and I don't feel any disrespect from Kelvin my way. You're not supposed to agree on everything. You know, if you do, great. If you don't, not a big deal. Thank you for the super chat, Kelvin. It says, creative show, guys. Can't wait to see you all again, and God bless. Kelvin, give us a call, man. Stick around. We'd love to hear from you. You bring an interesting, fresh perspective. The number's in the chat. 818-308-5559.
Thanks for the super chat, brother.
Yes, sir.
Wait, you say Kelvin's black?
Yeah, he black.
Wait, so he voted for Biden? Because that's the only way you could be black nowadays, guys. You heard it.
Lin Chen super chat says, please stop the irrational ivory towers trend of pretending argument equals proposition. Claim or belief that is agreeably structured. Argument equals debate. Exactly. Argument is debate. It doesn't mean you have to agree. Trevor, how did you like Bruce Hornsby style compared to the others?
I don't know what the others are, but yeah, I appreciate Bruce Hornsby style.
We appreciate you too, Skip. He says it's okay to disagree and be able to talk through it. Y'all help me see Jesse's way of dealing with things, and I appreciate it. And no problem. You know?
There's a piano. Okay.
There we
We got a
go.
call. What do you know?
Let's see. Hello, who's this? Kelvin. Let me put you on speaker. Man, long time no hear. Kelvin J.
What's cracking, bro?
living over there.
It's good. All is well. I mean, you know, just riots on the freeways.
You said what?
Just riots on the freeways, but other than that, it's all right.
Yeah, so Biden's saying we're not black anymore. Time to hang it up.
Yeah, you got to turn in your black card.
Yeah, I lost that years ago.
I know, me too.
No, I'm just kidding. I haven't lost it.
Where are you from again? I forget.
Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit.
But I.
From the D.
He said what? But I currently live in.
How's it going out there?
Maryland.
What's lockdown like out there? Is it pretty bad? Are people in masks everywhere?
Yeah, like I'm in Maryland right now, like DC, Maryland area, and you know, everybody rocking their mask and whatnot. I got me a cool little Gucci mask. I look fashionable while I'm out in the streets.
How do you tickle a rich girl?
You said what?
How do you tickle a rich girl?
I don't know. How do you do it?
Gucci, Gucci, Gucci.
Oh,
Stupid.
I don't get it.
Gucci, Gucci, Gucci. Is that what you say when you tickle a baby?
Is that a joke?
Yeah.
It was.
No, I'm just kidding.
So Kelvin, what's your take
I
on
got
things?
some good news.
What's the good news?
Good news for you guys. You
What's
guys
up?
ready for it?
Yeah.
So the good news is, I just got off the DoorDash app, and I got a triple quarter pounder, juicy burger. You know, they cook it fresh at McDonald's, and it's on its way right now.
Nice.
Outstanding, superb.
Sweet.
Well, you got it for free?
No, I paid for it.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
he's just got food coming.
But that DoorDash pass that definitely helps you save money.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're gonna order enough, because those fees are ridiculous. It's like, oh yeah, free delivery, but you got a $10 service charge.
Do you call it McDonald's or McDonald's?
You said, do I call it what?
McDonald's
McDonald's
or
McDonald's?
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 Yeah.
I don't know.
You ever heard some people call it McDonald's?
Probably so.
What was the name of the in Coming to America? They had like the version.
McDowell's.
McDowell's. So Kelvin,
No.
how are things out in Detroit, and like with all the tensions going on? What's your take on it? I know you have, like you said, sometimes you get flack from other Black Americans that you're not black enough because you're conservative. What's your take on things?
Yeah, so I mean, it's all just pretty funny stuff. People think it's weird how people think like you just all of a sudden different, as if you never, thought just like them,
Yeah.
Like they just completely forget that part.
Cause I'm a fan of everybody being able to be an individual and think what they want to think, and then what you are ethnicity-wise shouldn't determine that,
Right.
But you'd think everybody would know that. Everyone would think that, but they don't. They want to be like, my team, you're on our team. It's like, I don't know, it's crazy.
You mean you don't trust?
You there, Kelvin?
Yeah, I'm here.
You tired?
You smoking pot?
Yeah, man, I'm on the bot.
If you're tired now, you're going to be tired after that quarter pounder with cheese. You got cheese, right?
Oh, yeah, man, I got extra mayonnaise, got bacon, got some little extra salt.
Extra mayonnaise, you're definitely not black.
Yeah. I hate
You
mayonnaise.
know what?
You got extra mayonnaise, you're definitely not black.
Yeah, man, you gotta have your mayonnaise and ketchup.
I like
Mix
it. So
together,
now how you
know
make
what I'm
secret
saying?
sauce, mayonnaise and ketchup?
Yeah, mayonnaise, ketchup,
It's
and
not real Thousand Island, but I mean,
it's kind of like
I'm
Thousand
not-
Island.
I hate mayonnaise. I hate it.
Kelvin, Trevor had his own kind of question, like a biblical type question.
It's not biblical.
Yeah,
It's just a
just a
question.
question. Oh, you want to ask him?
Well, yeah. What do you think it's better, to see when you're wrong or see when you're right?
Say that one more time.
What do you think is more effective and better, to see when you're wrong or to see when you're right?
You said to see when you're wrong or to see when you're right?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds tricky. I gotta think on that one.
Yeah.
To see when you're wrong or to see when you're right. It sounds like a riddle or something.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, I would think it's best to see when you're right, right? Like,
Well,
why would you want to see when you're wrong?
How would you know you were wrong if you could only see when you were right?
You said, how would you know if you were wrong if you could only see when you were right? Because, like, for me, like, when you wake up to knowledge or certain truth, that's when you learn those truths, and that's when you can see that those truths are right. So that's when you will be able to know that, do you get what I'm saying?
No, I get it. Do you think you grow more when you see what's wrong with yourself and you overcome it, or do you grow more when you see what's right about yourself?
No, I mean, I think you definitely gotta notice what's wrong with. If you're talking about like yourself in particular, I would say
Yeah.
you definitely got to know what's wrong with yourself.
That's what I'm saying.
You got to be able to see yourself, definitely. Like, come out of yourself. Like, you can, like, almost like what do they call it? Like, astrogliding, whatever it's called.
Yeah, like I see it like a car. You know, you're driving your car and something's wrong with it. You're excited to find out what's wrong with it, but you're not going to care about what's right with the car. You know, but like we're like the car. You know, and our soul is like the driver. And I notice people in general, like they'll avoid finding what's wrong with them, and always just want to like focus on what's right to justify themselves. When finding what's wrong is if you figured out what was wrong, then the only thing that would be left would be what's right. You know.
Like you mentioned about people who do affirmations, they're
Yeah.
only repeating the good, and they're not dealing with what's potentially wrong with them. So it's just stroking their ego, and it's not helping them overcome.
Yeah. But you could, I know a lot of people could be judgmental of themselves where they get depressed and down when they see how wrong they are being negative. But I think it's cool to see what's wrong without judgment and just see that it's wrong and pivot and change it. And that's that.
Well, I'm going to let y'all go, man. I'm going to continue my night over here.
All right, bro. Thanks for calling.
Catching up with y'all.
All right, Kelvin. Next
Hey,
time you're in California,
And make sure you guys go get the pint, man. The one-wheel pint. You guys got to get it.
get the what?
The one-wheel pint.
One wheel pint?
What is that?
What's that?
Yeah. You guys got to check it out. It's a dope little shred bot.
It's a what?
It's a shred bot.
A shred bot?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like paper shredder?
Yeah, like a shred bot, yeah.
What? One wheel pint.
Huh.
I'll have to check it out.
One-wheel pint.
I never heard of it.
Yeah, check it out on YouTube.
Okay. Thanks, Kelvin.
Y'all be safe. God bless.
You too, brother.
All right,
Stay.
bro.
Bye. All right, I think we got time for one more. It's about time to wrap it up.
Yeah. Always wrap it up. I was starting a Christmas song a while back. I wanted to make a Christmas album. One of the songs was that. How'd it go? It went. Always wrap it up. Always wrap it up. Always wrap it up. Always wrap it up. That was the chorus.
Let's see.
Call from.
Amazing. No better way to end the night.
Press 1.
T, it's so good to hear from you, man. How you doing?
All right. How y'all doing, fellas?
All is well.
Doing what it do while I'm doing.
Hey, dude sounded like he just got off a plane full of Jamaicans or something, man.
For real. Straight back from Kingston, Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Oh, yeah,
He
Trevor
had
was
a
saying
surprise
that.
for y'all.
But
That
hello.
was coming. I didn't hear you.
Trevor was singing that
Well,
Sister Nancy.
Whoa, shooty baba shooty whoa.
Lot of mercy, brother. I
Right
got
in the
a
beach,
surprise for
wee.
you. Is that? Oh man, what's up, fellas? What was your question, man? You said, is it better to know if you're wrong or if you're right?
Yeah, is it better to see when you're wrong or is it better to see when you're right?
Okay, so if you're walking around thinking that you're right all the time, then the probability that you're wrong is very high. You can't. It's kind of hard to have one without the other. You know, you have to know when you're wrong in order to know you're right. You know.
Right. That's kind of how I look at it. Because what if your ego, if you don't see when you're wrong, how do you know that your ego's not getting in the way, and you know you're missing something?
Yeah.
That's what I noticed
people
about
like that, man.
when Chip called and he was talking about Jesse and he never gives compliments or says anything, because I think that's kind of what Jesse is about. He's about seeing when you're wrong and pointing out what's wrong so that you can be corrected. Because it's like you could always say what's right, and if you focus on what's right all the time, then you're never gonna see what's wrong.
Right.
It's
Well,
just
if you
your ego.
notice, Jesse actually does give compliments, man. But see, think about it. When he talks to Joel, he'll give him compliments about his dance studio.
Right.
He might have different names for the studio every time he mentions it, pop locking for Jesus or break dancing for Jehovah or something like that. But he always compliments him. He'll say, amazing. He has his own thing going. He's doing his studio. Or he'll talk about Nick. He'll say Nick is the best producer on this side of heaven.
Right.
Or he'll talk about when he has a panel of the 4 experts, he says these are the best experts around. But I think with Jesse, the reason why his correction sticks out so much is because Jesse's not afraid to point out those things that rub against you.
Exactly.
He's not afraid to, people nowadays love to handle everybody with kid gloves because they're afraid to hurt feelings. And if you're afraid to hurt people's feelings, you're not a truthful person.
Agreed.
Because there's not a nice way to tell somebody that breath stinks. I mean, if you say it in a British accent, will that be, excuse me, sir, your mouth smells as if you've been eating manure.
Your mouth smells horrendous. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no nice way to tell somebody that breath stinks, but if you want them to have fresh breath, you got to tell them, hey, bro, your breath is kicking, man. Chew a couple pieces of gum. So that way they can fix that. They might feel a little hurt, but at least they'll walk around, now with fresh breath.
Yeah, you're not gonna be like, wow, you have beautiful eyes, and just because you didn't want to hurt their feelings about their breath.
Yeah, like if your friend's overweight and they're like, how do I look? And you're just like, well, you look great. No, you should be like, no, you're fat and that shirt's a little tight.
That's what I hate, man. If you look at TV, you'll see a chick 300-something pounds, right? And she'll go on the show and put on some clothes and girl, look at you, you doing your thing.
Yep.
And she's like one cheese and cracker away from a heart attack,
Ooh, I love cheese and crackers.
But people are so afraid to tell the truth, and all this political correctness is just it's such a deceiving thing, man.
Right.
And even today, what you were talking about with the whole rioting and all that, that's because of political correctness. That's because people are afraid to speak the truth. And so when you're afraid to speak the truth, you get things like that.
Right. All those rioters are speaking of seeing when you're right or seeing when you're wrong. They're all only seeing when they're right, which is focusing on the cop being excessive. And in doing that, they're avoiding accountability for when they go wrong or what Floyd did wrong, and it just justifies their ego, and that's why they're rioting. They feel like, well, because they were wrong, I'm gonna go do this. It's like, well, if you focused on what did Floyd do wrong, then you're not gonna want to go out and destroy someone's business as a way to honor that man's memory or to try and change things and help people. Like it's just ego.
I don't know if it was a caller earlier or if it was somebody who called Jesse, but the person was asking about God's will and how this man died, and was that God's will for him to die? And it had to be. In the Bible, it says, I kill and I make alive. And God was not surprised that man died. No matter how we look at it, God was nothing like, oh my gosh, Michael, I can't believe he's dead,
Right.
He wasn't doing that. He knew that man died. He knew what type of life he lived, and we don't know the full story. We know what happened. Because God has a way, he can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. He can handle that officer and that dude at the same time.
Exactly.
To us, we're going to view it through our lenses, through the lenses of humanity. Or we're going to judge it based on how we feel about it at the moment. But God sees the whole picture, So he's going to judge it based on that. How is this guy? Okay, so I sent this person to tell him about Jesus, this person, that person, and he neglected him. He dishonored his mother and father. He did this the whole time, his whole life. Never once acknowledged God unless it was at a funeral, unless he was blessing his pork chops.
Right.
And now, now he's out on the street, dead. And so all that plays into it. But I don't know, man. I think that when you're full of hate, you will never see anything correctly. I got family members right now, man, that no matter what happens, if it's anything that remotely looks like a racial incident, they automatically take the side of the black person.
Yeah.
Man, black dude could have went into the house and launched a bazooka into a baby's crib. And if they got shot by a white cop, that cop is wrong.
Exactly.
Right. And a lot of people think that way, and I think that people could see, because it's like, if you're a liar, you think everyone's lying. If you're, always honest, you think everyone's telling the truth, and then you get taken advantage of. So I think when people have that mentality themselves, they can look at me and think that I'm siding with the white cop automatically because I'm white, and but I know the cop was wrong. It doesn't, right and wrong has no color, and if you just see character and see that it's a spirit that people are serving, it's so much better, man. It's because you don't see the truth when you have a bias and you are rooting for someone in a story or narrative because of their skin color or whatever. It's stupid.
Man, and I don't know why people think that if one person's wrong, that automatically makes the other person right.
Right.
There could be two wrongs.
Exactly.
There could be two wrongs. I mean, the cop was in the wrong for what he did. But going back to what Jesse said earlier, there's a root cause to that problem. Because had this guy not committed a crime, he wouldn't even be on the pavement with a cop's knee in his neck.
Right.
The cop wouldn't have nothing to do with it. That doesn't make what the cop did right, but you can't negate the actions of this man. You can't just blindly say, because then you would think that the guy was just out mowing his lawn and the cop was like, oh, there's another black. Let's go get this sucker,
Exactly.
It wasn't like that. It's something led up to it. Now, the cop was stupid in how he handled it, and the other police officer that sat there and watched it, but what led to it? How did this man get to that point?
Right.
There's no way I guarantee you, this dude, and I'm not going to say that this is 100% true because I don't know the man, but just look at his ideas. He's forging checks or whatever. If he's guilty of that stuff, you can imagine his family already knows the type of person he is. They already know. They already know he done been in and out of jail or whatever, or he probably stole from the family. They know the character of that person. Not that justifies his death, but they know. So there's no way they're going to be surprised that he's in some kind of trouble with the law.
Yeah.
Exactly. What you said, it's a really good way how you put it about that God is not surprised that this guy lost his life. It's not like it caught him by off guard. Everything, he knows everything, and part of what happens when you live wrong is that you end up surrounding yourself and pulling in other evil. That's what the devil does, is he's going to grab anyone and everyone to destroy you. He'll use you, and he'll put you in a path of other people and play all of you against each other, because that's what happens. You reap what you sow, and it just gets worse and worse.
And I don't see it as being God's will. I think that when you play God, you bring, it was the man's will. It was both their wills combined that created that scenario or problem. But I don't think it was God's will. I think God's just sitting back watching people ruin themselves. But he could probably definitely see it happening, and ain't surprised.
Yep. Yeah, I think if you look around, man, things are changing so rapidly. I walked to this gas station earlier, and I'm hardcore with no mask, and this dude, he just this tall black dude, man. Hey, you're gonna have a mask on, right? I said, okay, brother. So I took my shirt and barely touched my nose with it, and I just let it go. I went and used the bathroom, and when I came out, I heard them yell at a guy when he walked in the store. Hey, you gotta have a mask. And so I stopped. I said, hey, check this out, guys. Watch this. Hey, welcome to our store. How are you doing today, sir? If you don't mind, would you put a mask on for us? I said, that's how you do it. Thank you. And then I left. And, man, the dude just stared at me like he was so mad because the whole time he's sitting there, he felt like control and power. Exactly. I had to yell at people when they walked through the door,
Dude, that's so true. That's true, man. People love to use any opportunity and excuse, just like people love to use this George Floyd thing to go riot and justify vandalizing. People love to use this mask stuff to sit back and do stuff like that, where they could be an asshole and tell you, "Oh, you better wear a mask." But I agree. It's like we're still the customer. We should still be treated a certain way. It's like, you want us to shop here or not?
Right. That's that when you're working from that spirit, from that point of view, and you're an emotional person. you don't talk to people out of love. You think you have it because you're like, oh, I care about people. I'm wearing a mask. Why don't you care about people? You want us to die? You know, if you actually loved them, you wouldn't assume that. You would just say, hey, excuse me, sir, can you please put on a mask? It's our store policy. We'd like it if you could put one on.
Yeah. This same person that's yelling at people about their mask probably ran through about 2 or 3 stop signs, probably ran through the stoplight, probably have weed in their car, probably took a couple of sips of alcohol on the way home, but yet they're going to point out somebody's mask, you know? Probably cheated on their taxes, you know? I mean, so you care about that one law, though, but you want to point out there, oh, look, it's like it was a news reporter who got busted. This dude was like, yeah, we're out here at this, I don't know where he was, but he was like, we're out here, look, they're not wearing a mask. And then the guy was like, yeah, just like your cameraman's not wearing one. And the reporter just kind of put his head down like, man, he got it.
Yeah. You notice people that wear masks in the car by themselves, it's kind of like going to bed by yourself and wearing a condom.
It looks so stupid, man. It's so stupid. I'm not walking around. And in San Antonio, dude, at this time of year, it's hot. I mean, it's already summertime here. There's no spring.
It's hot,
Spring
hot,
is last.
hot.
You know, and you're walking around with a big old black mask over your face. Forget that crap. I'm not doing it. I've never heard of a summertime flu.
Yeah, it's all overblown, and people are just. It's just crazy. It's just kind of disappointing to see how people treat each other now. Like you said, they start acting like they're your mama, and they want to tell you what to do. There's no love or kindness in how they tell you anything. It's just all control. And then they try and they use their fear as like a virtue. Like, oh, because I'm scared for my life, and I'm going to wear this mask like a good little sheep. You must be an evil person because you don't want to wear a mask.
Yeah, it's all straw man
Yeah.
manipulation.
That's just a form of social conditioning. You get people used to the idea of obeying a draconian set of laws that really have no purpose other than to control people. They really don't serve a purpose. How is a mask going to keep you safe? It can't. It's impossible. It's not going to keep you safe.
Exactly.
Because that's not the only way to die is from a virus. What if your house burns down? Well, put your mask on, everybody. What if somebody comes in and robs your house? Put your mask on and the bullets won't hit you. You know, what if you're getting into a car accident? Oh, we're going to hit the pole, y'all. Put your mask on. I mean, come on. That's not going to keep you safe.
Right. That's like saying
But
don't drive a car because you might get in a car accident. So just walk everywhere.
Yeah. So it's all about having power. But if you notice, I read a chart, and it has all the states that are Republican. They have the fewer amount of deaths according to the coronavirus death chart or whatever.
Yeah.
And the Democratic states have the highest numbers.
Yep.
You know, it's insane, man. Like, if you want to ask me, split the country in half.
Yeah.
And let all the liberals and the wackos stay on one side, and let all the conservatives and righteous people stay on the other side.
Yeah.
See who prospers.
Now that would be a good experiment to see which cities would go to crap first, because it wouldn't be the red states.
Yep. They would beg to be let in. Like, please let me in. It's a hellhole here. They never learn until it's too late.
Hey, but our capital's gonna have to be in Texas.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. But hey, guys, I'm gonna get off the phone. It's good talking to y'all, man.
You too, man.
Thank you, T.
All
It's
right,
always
take
a
care,
pleasure.
bro. We're about to be out of
All
here
right.
too. We out of here.
All right.
Good night, T.
Thank you guys for tuning in, hanging out. It's
Yeah.
been real.
The super chats. Thank you again, everybody.
Thanks,
And,
Janitria. Appreciate you coming and hang out again.
Yeah, and Shelly. That's how you pronounce it. Everybody. I mean, and it's all love here. That's the whole point of this thing is to talk and hang out and just leave your emotions at the door.
Everybody. Oh yeah.
All right, guys.
Thanks for
Love
super
everybody.
chat.
Thanks for hanging out. Trevor's gonna take you out.
Pros and cons. The world blames dad when it's really your mom.
Good night, everybody.